Well, y'all, there's been yet another No Kings protest, as if these people don't understand where they live and that they live in a democratic republic and not a monarchy, because they're stupid. And as you can imagine, it was full of drama, skits, unanswered questions, violent rhetoric, actual calls to unalive people that they disagree with. Of course, you can't go one day without Democrats absolutely making fools of themselves. So we're gonna get into some of what happened, just a little tiny bit, because there's a lot. There's a lot, y'all. Exhibit A.
You see this one man, these folks in costume there.
I want to hear from this guy.
Yeah, I am interested to hear from this guy. Can we listen into what yep. Let's listen in.
C-L-A-R-K.
Awesome. So kind of talk to me about, I think what's really interesting is what you're wearing. So kind of talk to me about the message behind your outfit here.
Okay, Lady Liberty needs to put a leash on the lawlessness of the Trump administration.
Absolutely. And kind of talk about, the whole outfit here, though. What went into it? Was it something that was thought out? I know oftentimes messages can come across, with words, but obviously it's powerful when you don't say anything and a message still comes across. So what is that message that you're hoping for?
Well, we're hoping that people will wake up and speak up. Silence is compliance, and what we're seeing going on with the Trump administration, the lawlessness of it all, is just too much for us to take. So we got together and brainstormed about what we could do to peacefully protest against what's happening in our country. And I thought, okay, I need to do something with Donald Trump. Well, it's no king, so why not dress him up like Caesar? And then we came up with the idea of her holding the leash, dressed as Lady Liberty, which represents exactly what we want to see happen. The people overcome tyranny.
Absolutely. What do you hope that people take away from this? I did speak to a younger girl earlier who was really emotional to see. She just moved from Boston to Charlotte to see this many people, and she was just hoping for positive change. What do you kind of hope people take away from this protest?
I hope people see that the solidarity of the people can overcome the tyranny of a government like the Trump administration. That's what we hope, because everybody needs to get out and vote. The midterms are going to be crucial to that. We've got to retake Congress.
Absolutely. Very lastly, there are young, old, middle-aged, all here, but it's really inspiring to see younger kids, right, here. What does that make you feel?
It makes me feel great. It makes me feel like the younger generations are waking up to what's going on. I remember when I was coming up, I was really concerned that there was so much apathy around what's going on, and I think that's largely what got us to where we are today.
So all he has to say is lawlessness. The lawlessness. Lady Liberty needs to take control of the king, Donald Trump. That's all he has to say. What lawlessness? I think I know who this person interviewing him is, and it seems like during this No Kings protest, people weren't really doing a whole lot of pushback. Probably because they were worried about getting hurt by Democrats. But look at this dude, just in time for Halloween. These people don't even understand. They're not actually making a difference. They're not actually saying anything. They're just repeating what AOC says on stage every single day. That's all. Lawlessness. Trump's bad. I don't know how to explain anything that I'm talking about. Please don't ask me any more questions. That's what's happening. And I don't think they understand that all that they're actually doing is creating material for people like me to make videos about them, making fun of how uninformed and absolutely ridiculous they look. Speaking of ridiculous, so these people are obviously goofballs, but I've been learning a little bit more about Antifa, and I don't see Antifa here. However, they do like to infiltrate their groups with people in outfits like this to kind of, I don't know, like sterilize the stain that Antifa actually is and make it look like it's like a family friendly, peaceful protest, especially in Portland, Oregon, outside the ICE facility. They have the someone dressed up as a frog almost every single day. They're all on drugs. I mean, that's what I've been learning about Antifa is that they take a lot of drugs. Okay. And they actually use these to soften up the feel of their protest so that when the mainstream media takes little clips here and there, they can say, oh, look, they're talking about these people that are just simply dressed up in these costumes and protesting peacefully, completely leaving out the parts where they're actually attacking people, you know, but that's how they do. This is by far one of the cringiest things I've ever seen. These people are dressed up as little bugs, and on the back of their outfit, it says lice. So I'm assuming that they are trying to pretend like they're ice, only they're bugs, they're parasites, they're lice. And they're getting sprayed by Lady Liberty, and they're getting hit and smacked around by Uncle Sam on a giant copy of the Declaration of Independence. You guys, these people need help. They actually need help. They need a psychiatrist, a very experienced psychiatrist with experience with brainwashed people. Look at this old ass man out here pretending to be a 19-year-old drama kid. How cringy is that? Absolutely ridiculous. I can't even believe this is real life. And aside from all of the funny, cringy, comical shenanigans, things actually eventually took a dark turn. Here's somebody that works at Wilbur Wright College. His name is Moises Bernal Puentes, and he is calling for actual murders of ICE agents.
Have a gun. We gotta turn around the guns on this fascist system. These ICE agents gotta get and wiped out. The state machinery, that's a full display right there, has to get wiped out.
Now, I'm gonna have to bleep out a couple of the words that he said so that my video doesn't get age restricted or taken down from YouTube, because he's literally calling for violence. This man needs to be fired. And I'm not the one that found the phone number, but I decided to share that. This man needs to be fired and potentially investigated, you know, have records looked through his phone, whatever, to see if he has ever thought about planning anything like this. Because this is a pretty bold statement to go out in public and literally say this. And where are all the Democrat politicians saying, you know what, we think that's a really bad thing? Just like if I see something like this on the right, I'm going to call it out too, because we shouldn't be getting down like that. We shouldn't be stooping to the levels of the Democrats. These people are insane. Like, they believe everything the CNN tells them. They don't look up anything. They don't understand how the government works. They don't understand that ICE is simply enforcing the laws that Congress created. And when the Democrats had control of it for the past 3 years, they did nothing to change immigration laws. Like, these people are so misguided, brainwashed, retarded, violent, sick in the head. And they all just need to get taken down. Like, they need to be held responsible when they say stuff like this. So I'm hoping that this man gets fired. Oh, look, an elementary school teacher.
Hey, you ever heard about chanting, you fat?
Yes, you heard that right. This is an elementary school teacher, Lucy Martinez, mocking Charlie Kirk's assassination, basically promoting gun violence as an elementary school teacher when we have the worst school shooting problem in the world. This would be the first person to advocate for gun control. This would be the very first person to say, take away all the guns. This would be the very first person to say, we don't need security guards in our schools. No, I'm not buying anything. Okay, New York Post. But here, you know, when they hate people, they have so much hatred in their hearts, all that goes out the window. It's all gone. It means nothing to them. And they advocate for going out and buying guns. They advocate for using them against your political enemies and people that you disagree with. They completely forget about all of their morals and standards when it comes to releasing their hatred on the world. These people are demonic. They don't stand for anything that they say they stand for. I've said this before, like they are the first people to come after you in the most hateful, heinous way on the internet. The very first ones, just like they're the very first ones to advocate for gun violence while simultaneously saying that we need gun control. Yeah, retarded. And the politicians are not helping. They're not helping to calm down their rhetoric at all. They're just not. They're not willing to. They're actually encouraging it with messages like this from Jamie Raskin.
Despair and panic are what they want us to feel. So ask yourself what they don't want us to feel. Joy, courage, because we're human, because we're American, and because we have compassion, we have wit, we've got humor, we've got things they will never have on their side, and we outnumber them. Trump can invade 1 or 2 cities, but Portland and Chicago are not alone in this. The people everywhere are standing up in all 50 states, in thousands of towns and cities across America. A stubborn, happy faith in a future where America, the America that lives in our hearts, will prevail. We are the land of the free. We are the home of the brave, because we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people are created equal, because we have no kings here, no crowns, no thrones. I'm Jamie Raskin, and I definitely approve this message.
Well, Jamie, no crap. You approved this message. You made the video. You're the one that said everything that you just said. And you're correct. We don't have any kings in America. We already don't. You know, that was taken care of a long time ago. Yep. Yep. Notice how he tried to make it all patriotic, as if he absolutely loves America, when he's actually in the process of trying to destroy America. And the fact that he left out all of the images and video of the protesters being violent, and how he said, never surrender. What are you surrendering to? Nobody's being captured unless they've crossed the border illegally or committed crimes. Who are these people surrendering to? Who should they never surrender to? Their mental retardation? They've already done that. These politicians are like rabid dogs backed into a corner and being threatened. They know that they're losing, and instead of having some common sense and just fessing up to all their BS and lies, of course, they're not going to do that, because then they're going to lose all of their voters, because they've already built this environment. They built this entire environment where now their voters expect them to fight Trump tooth and nail on every single thing that he does. And their voters expect them to tell them that everything that Trump's doing is bad. And now they can't actually backtrack on anything, because if they do, they're going to lose their voters. I don't know that they would vote Republican, but they probably just wouldn't vote at all. Like a lot of Democrat voters sat out in November, and it's just getting worse, but they can't bring it to themselves to actually fix it and end this cycle of violent rhetoric and shouting into crowds saying, you need to fight, don't surrender, never give up, fight Trump, we're gonna win. No, he's a democratically elected president. You're not doing anything. You're just wasting tax dollars with all your frivolous lawsuits that are eventually going to get turned over anyway. That's all they're doing. It's a big drama. It's a big show. They're just acting. These people are actors. Politicians, career politicians, they're actors. That's what they are. quite frankly, we need a lot less of them.
Meanwhile, here in the United States, we're having protests that we had yesterday. It was No King's Day. We thought we'd give you, just the sights and sounds of the No King's Day protests of President Donald Trump, who the left claims is acting like a king and not a president. Watch.
President Trump, we don't want you or any other king to rule us.
We will never surrender. So Donald Trump, stay the hell out of Chicago.
In this city of immigrants, in Boston, every day is No King's Day.
In America, every day is No King's Day. Because we elected the president.
Donald Trump is not a king. Donald Trump is a bully.
Trump does think that he's a king, and he thinks that he can act more corruptly when the government is shut down.
You know, they always say that they support checks and balances and whatever. They believe in that. Why do they seem to conveniently forget that the checks and balances are still in play here? Like, if Trump actually does try, like, moving the money from research and development and trying to use it to pay the military, he can't just go do that. He has to go through a process in order to make that happen, which means Pete Hegseth had to ask Congress to make a bill to pay the troops, and now Congress is trying to pass a bill to pay the troops, which the Democrats just voted no on, just so you know, in case you didn't know that. They are going through the process. Just because Trump says he's going to do something, they should already understand that there are checks and balances and there is going to be a process that has to be gone through. And of course, if there is a legitimate court case, which most of these aren't, but if there is, then a court will be able to rule no. And then if it has to reach the Supreme Court, then they say no, then it's not going to happen. I don't understand why they're just, I do understand. I'm sorry, I do understand, because they are hungry for power. They wanted to keep their power. Now they're losing it and they're freaking out. So they're pretending like they don't understand how the government works, and they're fooling idiots like the people in frog suits and oxalotl suits into believing that Trump is actually overstepping different branches of the government when he is absolutely not able to. Like, seriously, y'all. And they said nothing about the previous administration literally saying, don't follow law enforcement. The difference with that is they had control of everything. They had infiltrated all of these different agencies, the FBI, the CIA, etc. And they used those agencies, the DOJ, they used those agencies for political gain and to persecute their political enemies. That's exactly what they did. While the left wants you to believe the opposite, no, these people are actually getting in trouble now because they did abuse the Department of Justice, the FBI, the CIA, etc. The Democrats had hired all of these activists to work in these agencies and put them all on these cases and try to find something to persecute all the J6 people with and something to persecute Donald Trump with. Then they had to go find prosecutors and all these kind of things. And the only difference now with Trump finding new prosecutors, or Pam Bondi finding new prosecutors and firing others, is because they're refusing to take cases that have evidence. These cases, they're not going and trying to dig up these cases like Letitia James. Her case was not brought to light by Donald Trump or the Department of Justice. It was Sam Aiken, or whatever his name is. He is a forensic accountant, partially retired, and he's still looking into high-profile cases. He goes and he tries to find things on people. He doesn't work for the Department of Justice. He's not a Trump supporter. This whole thing was brought into the light by him with proof that she did it multiple times, and everyone acts like this is somehow Trump's doing, and it's not. So if the prosecutors aren't going to do their job, look at the evidence. I mean, these people are being indicted by grand juries. It's not like it was thrown out the window 5 times like all of Donald Trump's cases, and they finally found the person to actually persecute the case. No, these people are refusing to even be involved in anything against another Democrat. That's exactly what they're doing. And we know that Trump has never claimed to want to be a king or a dictator. He probably doesn't even really want to be the president. He probably wants to retire and enjoy his money and his family. But no, he chose to be the president because there is nobody that will fight the system. There's nobody that'll fight the deep state. So I find it quite funny that he's being asked about no kings by reporters. Like, are these people really serious? But he had a great answer.
What is your response to the protest? Who are you with? I'm with AP. With AP? What's your response to the protest over the weekend, the No Kings protest?
I think it's a joke. I looked at the people. They're not representative of this country. And I looked at all the brand new signs paid for, I guess it was paid for by Soros and other radical left lunatics. It looks like it was. We're checking it out. The demonstrations were very small, very ineffective, and the people were whacked out. When you look at those people, those are not representative of the people of our country.
Mr. President, besides San Francisco...
By the way, I'm not a king. I'm not a king. I work my ass off to make our country great. That's all it is. I'm not a king at all.
They can never just listen to the words that he says sometimes. They just have to stick with the idea that's in their head, even though it makes no sense. He literally said, I'm not a king. I don't want to be a king. It's a joke. That's ridiculous. Those people aren't representative of America because they're not. They care more about illegal immigrants than themselves, which is insane. Like I said, all of these people are really doing is actually making content easy for people to make videos and make fun of them and talk about how stupid they are and how they can't answer any questions and they can't explain their opinions and they can't tell you where they got the information from because they know that if they did, then you would be able to break it down completely and they would lose. And then of course they just scream at you, try to hit you and run away and decide that they're done with the conversation because they know that they don't know what they're talking about. So tell me what you think in the comments. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you're not already. Hit the bell icon so you get notified when I upload videos, and I will see you on the next one.